In June 2012, I bought a Medtronic Revel 700 insulin pump, which I sent back after trying it out for 30 days. I've already done a review of why I found it to be dangerous to my health and had to send it back. This little review is to talk about its worst feature and how I solved the problem by going to a different pump. First, a word about myself. I've been a diabetic for 33 years. I've been using insulin pump therapy for about 14 years. I've had about 6 insulin pumps, and my A1Cs average between about 6.4 and 6.6. When my last pump died, I shopped around to find out if there was a pump available that would use Wi-Fi connectivity to link to my computer and my blood glucose meter. Since Medtronic assured me that theirs did, I decided to try the Medtronic Revel 700. And there were certain features about it that I liked a lot, like the wizard that calculates the bolus for you and the connectivity to my computer and blood glucose meter. Those are great features. The problem was in how difficult the pump was to do something as simple as bolusing, which one does multiple times a day, every day. If you're going to eat at home or in a school cafeteria or in an inexpensive restaurant where your food is served all at once, it's easy to look at your tray or your plate and determine how many grams you're about to eat and then bolus accordingly. However, using the Medtronic pump, eating in a fine dining restaurant is very cumbersome. This is why. In a fine dining restaurant, it can take as much as 2 or more hours to complete a meal. You cannot take a bolus just once and expect that to cover your meal, because it will take anywhere from 10 minutes to 20 minutes to 45 minutes in between courses. So, you order your meal, your first course comes, it's time to bolus. Using the Medtronic pump, you have to take it out of your pocket or off your belt, hold it in your hands, and step through a number of menus to do the bolus. Even if you use the Express feature, you still have to step through multiple screens to make your selections before you can enter the bolus, even if you're using the wizard. Now, the first night I did this at a fine dining restaurant, it was very dimly lit, and even using the backlighting on the pump, I could not read the small type on the screen. So I had to dig out a flashlight and hold the pump in 2 hands with a flashlight while going through all the menus. That was for the appetizer course. Later, when the main course came, I had to repeat the entire process. Dig out the pump, dig out the flashlight, step through many menus and windows to find the bolus that I wanted to deliver. And then finally I made the mistake of ordering dessert, which meant I had to drag this thing out and do it a 3rd time for one meal. By contrast, when I wear my Medtronic pump, which is what I had before the Medtronic, and then after I said the Medtronic pump back after I got again, with the Medtronic Spirit pump, you do not have to look at the pump in order to give yourself a simple bolus. If you want to do an elaborate bolus, whether like the square wave or the dual wave bolus, yes, of course you have to look at the pump to do the programming. But if you're eating in a fine dining restaurant with multiple courses, or if you're at a cocktail party where you're going to be nibbling over an extended period of time, you need to be able to give yourself a bolus discreetly without making a major episode out of it. To give myself a bolus at a fine dining restaurant, all I have to do is reach down to my pocket and touch one button to let the pump know that I'm talking to it. Then I punch the other button to tell it to give me a half a unit bolus. Or more. I can repeat that button press as many times as I want to give myself a bolus in half-unit increments. No one at the table needs to know that I'm doing this. I don't have to use both hands. I don't have to interrupt the conversation. I can deliver that bolus as many times as I need to over the course of the meal or throughout the course of the party, and no one knows what I'm doing. This is not only important when you are enjoying a meal with your friends and family, it's also important when you're having a business luncheon or a business dinner. Throughout my years in publishing, I certainly wouldn't want to interrupt a conversation that I was having with an author by pulling out my pump and spending 5 minutes programming it. Instead, it was always easy just to reach down into my pocket, ask the pump to give me a half or whole unit, and I was done. And no one even had to stop talking to ask me what I was doing. This was a major factor that caused me, in the end, to send the Revel 700 back to Medtronic and return to the Desatronic, because I did not want to make a spectacle of myself every time I had to bolus in public. So my recommendation is, shop around, find the pump you think you want, try it out, and if at the end of 25 days it is not consistent with your needs and preferences, send it back and try another pump. It's your life.